Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Here we are previewing week number 7. And before we actually preview the week, I'm going to show you which teams have the bye week this week. And the teams with bye weeks this week are the Cleveland Browns, which after losing to the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Ravens, all by blowouts, yeah, you kind of need a little bit of a bounce back. Getting some time off. The Chargers, which after the win against the Raiders, they kind of need that to rest their players. You have the Green Bay Packers, which they have now officially moved Aaron Rodgers into the starting role over Brett Favre. And the Carolina Panthers, which I'm not sure how much that's going to slow their momentum down going into the game against Indianapolis. So we start off with Cardinals and Redskins. I'm easily going to go Redskins because Arizona just lost another key piece to their defense, so just tank, get the number 1 overall pick. You know, McNary Central, Mickey, and Tampa Bay, they've got some studs on the defensive side of the ball because those schools, they have great defensive players. Although, if you're watching the Tampa Bay film, I say ignore the game against Virginia Tech because of how much of a scoring showdown that was. But yeah, Arizona should definitely look for some defensive help in the draft. Meanwhile, I don't know what these teams need in the draft. Falcons have lost 4 straight. The Saints have lost 3 straight. And honestly, hard for me to tell who I really think is going to win. Now, both of their defenses are absolutely horrendous. Although we can put that up to both of them facing the Tennessee Titans. And that the same for the turnover differential. But I'm going to give the edge to the Saints because they just got Deuce McAllister back. Ravens and Bills, I think it's going to be the Ravens. I mean, they are on a 2-game losing streak, but it's against another one of those teams that's just riding the tank right now. Again, I'm not 100% sure what Buffalo fully needs for this draft. In a couple weeks, I'm going to do a mid-season, past mid-season review of all the teams and what I think their biggest needs are heading into the offseason. Vikings and Cowboys, I'm going to go Vikings here, mainly because I think that defense is going to continue to step up. And the Cowboys are still probably going to feel the momentum of losing in a shutout last week at home to the Patriots. Speaking of the Patriots, I feel like they're just going to run roughshod all over the Dolphins. I know in real life it seemed like every time the Patriots went down to Miami, it was their kryptonite. But I don't think it's going to be the kryptonite this time around. When it comes to the 49ers and the Giants, going by the 49ers pattern, they should somehow lose this game. I don't think that's going to be the case this time around. I think they're just going to steamroll New York and basically just go ahead and try to set up the Giants with a nice little bit of a draft capital for the draft this year. Buccaneers and Lions, Buccaneers just coming after that horrendous showing on the road for 1 week against one of the better teams in the league. You go up against a team with a decent offense, but not that good at defense. I feel like this is going to be a bounce back game for Tampa Bay. They got to try to keep up in the wild card race. And a good way to do that is to be able to beat the Lions. Although the Lions do have the 7th best defense in the league and the 5th best passing defense, with And Chris Sims under center, probably should guess a little bit towards Detroit. It's going to be a back and forth game. I can see this one going either way for the former NFC Central rivals. Titans, Texans. Titans are going to win pretty easily. I mean, I control the Titans. Look at those stats. About as balanced as I can get the stats to be, actually. That's pretty impressive. Also, 90, 90, 89. Seems it's improving all over the place. Chiefs and Raiders. Raiders just going to ride the tank, I guess. This is going to be that bounce back game Kansas City's looking for. Even though they have Damon still under center. If Damon can do well these next few weeks, because I think he's on a 1-year left deal for Kansas City. Let's go ahead and see that real quick. No, he's on a 3-year deal. Never mind, I was about to say, if he's on a 1-year deal and he's performing well, he might just go and get re-signed by Kansas City, so that way they can either have a decent backup or they just avoid having to try to draft a quarterback in the draft. The Jets and the Bengals, honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards Cincinnati on this one. Although I can easily see the Jets winning this to try to keep up with New England, knowing that they beat the Patriots before and they can probably beat them again. Bears and Eagles, I gotta go with the Eagles because that defense, it's gonna be a defensive slugfest. I would be surprised if both teams get to where they are on an average-wise offensively. Game of the week, Rams and Seahawks. And I love this because it's a battle of different philosophies on offense. You have the Rams with the second best passing offense against the Seahawks with the second best rushing offense. And they're not even that bad passing the ball either, tied for 5th in the league on that end. And with both defenses being 20th or below, especially in the area where the other team is strong in, it's going to be a good back-and-forth shootout. I wouldn't be too surprised if this ends up being like a final score of like 38-35 or something like that. But I will give the small slight advantage to Seattle, because as we saw last week with New Orleans, they can just use Sean Alexander to kill the clock. The former MVP can kill the clock and run out the clock for Seattle, forcing the greatest show on turf with Mark Bolger in the center instead of Kurt Warner, and the dynamic duo of Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce to play catch-up. Sunday Night Football, Steelers and Broncos. This is going to be another defensive matchup, and I think Pittsburgh might actually pull this one off. Even though Broncos would like to stay undefeated, it's going to be too close to tell. I'm going to say Pittsburgh, though. And Monday Night Football. What's with Monday Night Football getting like these awful looking matchups, record-wise? I mean, this third week in a row. I mean, you had the Cowboys that were at 1-3 going into Buffalo at 0-4. Then you had freaking Giants and Falcons, both teams entering at 1-4. And you had the atrocity of this. And now you have the Colts just coming off of a bye week. I think. Yeah, just going off a bye week. Facing against the Jaguars. Who now have the third fewest points scored in the league. Like, this is probably going to be ugly, but Peyton's going to come into Jacksonville and just dot over that secondary. And, yeah, that Jaguars offense ain't going to be able to get much going, considering Dwight Freeney, Bob Sanders on the other side of the ball. Well, granted, Colts are the third worst defense, but then again, they face Tennessee, so. Yeah, I think Indianapolis is just going to start beating down on the Jaguars so badly that people watching this will choose to flip to Monday Night Raw instead of sticking with Monday Night Football. But those are my predictions for the week, and I will see you all next time.